Hello, this is Alan Wheeler again. Forgive the lag or delay at the beginning. Um, I haven't learned how to crop that out yet. This is a quick follow up um, to a video I just made about. I did a tarot card reading about wanting clicks, about um, getting too obsessed with likes and subscriptions or um, views on social media. And that's my transition into this. This is actually a reading I just now did on signs and wonders. I'll explain that. But my transition is that I failed to mention a couple things I think I forgot to do in the video I made last night after work. It's now lunch break, and I'm making a quick video during lunch break. And I mentioned this robe behind me, which is a graduation robe. Um, and I meant to explain that that hangs here and comes out once a year. Oh, you can also see my name tag here in the screen. Um, but this robe, we have to go to graduation once a year, and it comes out. I don't think I mentioned that. I got distracted by describing the wall hanging here. Okay, back on track. I also forgot to mention that one of the things that got me thinking about um, this obsession with views, likes, clicks, subscriptions, whatever, um, rather than enjoying the community and the content itself and the more important things, um, was a synchronicity, a sign that came to me. um, Before I get to that, I also want to say that uh, as an afterthought, after making that video, I hope no one felt I was being judgmental in any way. I think it's fine to um, pursue, um, a high volume on YouTube. I think people who make their living um, creating content and things necessarily need lots of subscriptions and lots of fans, and so I'm not against popular culture in any way. And I think that came out in the card I showed, because this figure was getting balance on a new experience here, represented by the egg. But this target, this center, is just one of many hills. So this is just my, at this time and for this place where I'm at. What led me to this, to become grounded and more centered for myself, was that when I went back to look the other day to see, I wonder how many views this video had. It was the 13th of November, and I had 13 views, and I had 13 subscriptions. And the thought that accompanied that, like the intuitive part of reading an oracle card, the thought that came to me was, wow, this is more important than the sheer quantity of anything. Um, Being in the right place at the right time, having that synchronicity, having that connection with people and or the divine. And so that gave me pause, and that's why I did the reading and the video about that. moving on, getting 13 and 13 on the 13th led me to think about the signs and wonders that we do, some of us are sensitive to seeing in our lives. And I suppose from a purely naturalistic view, a scientific view, someone would say, oh, that's just pattern recognition, that we have thousands of coincidences every day, and we just pull out the ones we want to, kind of selective um, um, believing. And that may be true, but there's still a human agency there, or divine agency, depending how you see it, that puts those together. Um, and whether it's the higher self, or um, the divine, or the natural humanism of what we are, whatever you want to call it, we see it in stories and human experience, these signs and wonders. So, and the psychological explanation by Carl Jung of synchronicity, that these are meaningful coincidences. And perhaps we make them meaningful if you're an existentialist. So with these thoughts going in my mind, I thought of some that I've had recently, and one from long ago. Driving to, I attend a very small church gathering that meets in a park in my town, that lives in a public park in my town, and where we rent a space. And on the several Sundays going there, I saw a sign that said, expect delays. And I see lots of street signs, but this one kind of spoke to me, again, like an oracle card might. Yeah, that's like the wilderness experience, when we wander, but something happens inside of us. Maybe a vision of becoming clear. The way Moses was in the desert when he saw the burning bush. And this death of a vision, this process can bring about a higher version of the vision. And at work, soon thereafter, they began a huge construction project. So every day when I pull into my parking place, I see a detour sign, similar in color and meaning to me. Color and meaning, wow. Sorry for that. So, but it speaks to me as a literal sign that's also a figurative sign and wonder. And then in a tarot reading, in a card pulled from the same deck as this card, from the Wisdom of the Oracle, a professional reader, code name Almoon513, pulled the card Message in a Bottle from that Oracle deck, which signifies watching out for signs and synchronicities in life, kind of confirming what I was seeing about the detour and the expect delays signs. Okay, and that's going on in my life right now, with actual things I'm waiting on and working on. Let me go back to another example from many years ago, 1990, early 90s. I was considering going overseas. And I had a dream, and in the dream, um, a man appeared to me who had two right arms, holding up on both arms 2 fingers. And it was more clear when I woke up. I had had maybe many dreams that night, but this one stood out and was crystal clear, very strong and intense feeling that came with it. So I called my sister up on the phone and said, I had this dream. And she said, oh, was it a dream of calling or a dream of confirmation? Wow, okay. So I said, oh, well, both maybe. But as I had been wondering about should I go overseas, it was a confirmation. And because synchronicities are when things happen in twos or threes to confirm, right? I think. Or two things come together in a meaningful way, coincidence. And so these 2 fingers on 2 hands were kind of confirming me with that number 2. So in this case, it was a dream, but it was a sign or wonder in the same kind of category that I'm talking about. So this is, with these thoughts going in my mind, I did my tarot draw and 1 runestone, as is my custom lately. And the rune that I drew from the stones and then drew with a Sharpie, oh boy, was Yira. And it looks like this. It means harvest or reward. And so when I looked at that, I thought, oh, so this is about sowing and reaping, so maybe I'm looking for something about this as I draw the tarot cards. Maybe this is the context. But I had a little different thought after seeing the cards, related but maybe a little different. The first card that I drew was the 6 of Pentacles, or 6 of Coins. The second card, interestingly, because it's also the 6 of the major arcana, was the Lovers. And the third card was the 8 of Pentacles. Interesting to me because 2 Pentacles spoke to me that maybe we're talking about something that manifests in the physical realm, in the realm of earth. And yes, signs and wonders to me are physical manifestations of something spiritual. So going through the cards one by one. So here the physical evidence, or the manifestation, is being shared freely. I'm always reminded of freely, freely we receive, freely, freely we give. And so it's something that's being shared. And certainly I think that's true of the when we are guided or receive these messages. It is that kind of physical communication, that physical sharing. We see it in our daily life. The spiritual side of this, or the archetypal higher take on that 6, is the Lovers and the harmony of that sharing. That almost paradise that picture of paradise. And I think you need not get hung up on the story of Garden and Eden as far as the Christian meaning if you don't follow that faith, follow that path. But the imagery can still be, to me, mythic and meaningful to anyone. That that paradise, that innocence, and the angel shining down. And in the Marseilles, it's Cupid, I think, in some versions, shooting the arrow. So it's that magical, mystical, divine sharing. And to me, this says that there's a communication and a communion that's beyond what's been shared physically. So if it's like seeing past the gift to the giver. So again, whether it's your higher self or the gods or God or just your own sense of pattern recognition, there's something is saying, I love you. Something is breaking through to communicate. And this touches my heart. For me, sometimes getting the sign, the 13 and 13 on the 13th, wow. Just the fact that I got a message is more aesthetically pleasing, is more happiness in my heart on every level. It's more important than the sign itself, that archetypal level. And then the last card being the 8 of coins, or eight of pentacles, brings me back down to earth again. That really it needs to be put into practice, whatever the message is, whatever the signs are saying. So if it's a stop sign, a sign to stop something, if we don't actually seek, how do we stop, or actually practice stopping, it does no good, in a way. No matter, well, I won't say no matter how much love we feel, because sometimes that is the main message or only message of the sign or wonder. But what do we do with that? Do we feel gratitude and express that? Do we share with others our experience? Do we keep our practice? And in the Tarot of the Vampires deck, it's an actual magician or necromancer that's manifesting a spirit. So do we put it into practice? So I've gone longer than I thought on this quick lunch break video, so I'll stop there. But that is my tarot reading on Signs and Wonders. Thank you if you watched, and I hope it's meaningful to someone else. Take care. Many blessings.